Why? Because I want to introduce you to my new friend. And I hope I can, no, okay. My friends, Carl is already part of our, somehow the technology doesn't want to work with you when you want it to work with you. And I'm saying, okay, I'm done with the kitchen appliances. Go to the next screen. It's saying, no, 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 no. I don't want to go to the next screen. Oh, okay, I got it.
Something.
Ginny Jolly and Judy are friends for life. And we are here to really be your humble host, because this community is not about us. It's about you, and you. It's about all of you. We want to really support you and your businesses. Yes, Judy is into the health and wellness, and I am into the legal services, plus my Be Jolly Foundation, which is my heart and soul. So coming back to our fun thing and honor this afternoon, Carl, Shawn Watkins. If you have not been being connected or followed him on LinkedIn, my friends, he is a thought leader which everybody should follow. He's the guy who talks about inclusion and being vulnerable. He's the one who teaches lawyers, law firms, and teaches them how to become better at what they are doing. And yes, he's a known, internationally renowned speaker. Honestly, I'll tell you, the first time I met him, and may I share with you, there was such an instant liking for what he is, because he told me a story about his mom. His mom always told him, you are a special kid. We all want to hear that. And mothers are right. I told him, I said, your mother is right. May I call you Brother Carl? And I was lucky that he agreed. So for me, he's no more Carl Shawn Watkins. He is my Brother Carl. So without any further ado, may I request our speaker to share with you his brilliance and his story about what can be done and how Carl has changed and transformed his life and changing the lives of many. Carl, oh, Mike.
On me.
Yes, Mike.
It's on me. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. I am so humbly blessed to be a part of this community and be able to speak with everyone on this afternoon or this morning, wherever you may be. I am on the East Coast, bursting for a storm that they've been talking about, supposed to hit us for about 3 weeks now. We have not got it. But it's in the 40s today, so I'm enjoying that. I met Jenny. I don't remember how we ran into each other. I think it was on a show where I was on someone's show, but just phenomenal, genuine, the kind of person that you would want to be around, and the kind of person that really brought joy into every conversation we had. And we went on a Zoom, and we hopped on the Zoom and talked. And as they say, the rest of that is his story or her story, however you want to put it. I'm simply a servant. That's what I am first. That's what I lead with. That's what I do. It's in my heart. It's not a slogan. It's not nothing I sell. I'm a servant. And in that, I just find the things that I'm good at and help others with that. And I let me introduce myself formally. I guess Jenny had done a lot of that. I'm Carl Shawn Watkins. I am a keynote speaker. I am currently pursuing my JD in civil rights law. I have a consulting firm, which we consult and coach on vulnerability and leadership. I am eyeing a TED Talk, but they have not returned my call, so I guess they don't want to hear from me, since Brene Brown already talked about the vulnerability piece. Everything that I teach, train, coach, facilitate, do seminars, webinars on is about vulnerability and leadership. It is definitely a key component to how I live my life. If we're not vulnerable in leadership and not understanding who we lead, the opportunity is far missed for us as leaders to see who we have or what we have that we are leading. And I think you can by reports and things that you need them to do. You have to lead the person, and in leading the person, that's a very individual thing for me. So I definitely I live and eat and breathe by that. My company, we promote corporate cultures and sustainable business with a diverse and equity leadership. Me, myself, being African American man, it is essential for me to see others in leadership that looks like me. When I say that, that's not an advantageous thing of I want everyone to be my color in leadership. But what it says is that in order for me to lead people like me, I need to see people like me. And in order to me to respect other views, I need to respect people that don't look like me. And I think that's a caveat to leadership that we failed so many of it. I think of leadership as an opportunity to mold. I oftentimes think of it and I put it in the same perspective as parenting. Those of you who have children to definitely get this. If you have more than one, you'll definitely be on board. You have children that have different aspects to them. And oftentimes I would hear people say that you're your mom's favorite. It's three of us. I have two brothers and a sister. Well, it's four of us, two other brothers and a sister. And everyone that dealt with my mom said I was her favorite. I was not my mom's favorite child, but there was attributes to me that correlated to how my mom wanted things done and saw how things needed to be done. So therefore, our relationship bonded in a way that it didn't with the rest of my siblings. That didn't make me a favorite. It didn't make me more loved. I got in trouble. I got chastised. I got punishments. But what that did do is give an opportunity for me to see how you can cultivate relationships otherwise, because while they were always getting the non-attention, so I thought I learned how to give them attention, which really cultivated the way that I lead. Because what it said is that I was a favorite. So how could I show them to be in the same boat with me? And a lot of that was still being vulnerable about things. It's a hard thing to do, and it's very scary in leadership, but it's only scary when it's not done. As we look at the definition of it and what it means is that it's acceptable to harm and danger, right? But so is walking across the street, so is driving your car, so is coming out the store, such as jogging. I had a friend not too long ago, very good health. He had a heart attack jogging on his morning run. So when we think about things that can happen to us, yes, it is. But my slogan is everything you ever need is on the other side of vulnerability. And the key to that is I can get all the answers I need if I'm susceptible enough to open up to ask the questions that I need. And if we find ourselves doing this on a continuous basis, being strategic and intentionally, we have the opportunity to learn way more than we think about what we close ourselves off to and not learn. I oftentimes look at learning as or being vulnerable as a closet. And I use this a lot with CEOs and C-suiters that I teach and train. The capacity for them to think past this is really hard. We're getting to a realm now. COVID has made us more vulnerable, right? With our thoughts, with our actions, with our deeds, how we interact, how we deal with people. Culture of things that has happened, especially with January 6th, with the George Floyd, that has given us a sensibility of trying to be politically correct. But what that really has induced is people being vulnerable with the way they truly feel about things and how they're looking to express those feelings. I don't look at vulnerability as me knowing everything about your business. It's not of that nature. Vulnerability is me understanding whom I'm leading and who I'm molding as a leader. How can I pour into them so they will excel under me to grow us? So it's an easy equation if we look at it on that basis. Because if I go to the hospital as well as you, and I'm sure some of you have already probably heard this before, if I go to the hospital and get cut, I'm going to bleed red. If you go to that same hospital and get cut, you're going to bleed red. They put us on the table. The only thing that probably will be different from us, a lot of us will probably just be the blood type. We all have those same pieces of the anatomy that goes together, right? So when I look at someone being of a different color, a different race, a different creed, a different ethnicity, how do I form an opinion of them based on visuals? It's unfair. We all have had things that have happened to us. We all have had things that have we would consider challenges. We've all had things that wasn't the greatest of upbringing. If I was start with one thing, I normally start these talks off with my four highlights. And when I tell you these four highlights, you're going to say, wow, They don't sound like highlights to me, but they were the highlights of my life. And I use each one of them to propel me to where I am now. The first one was a highlight that I was told growing up in the city of Chicago that I wouldn't be past 25. I wouldn't make it. I would be a statistic. Either gangs, drugs, violence, or the alcoholism, which ran rampant in my family. Uh, the first highlight that I like to mention is I was molested from 7 to 14 by an uncle, a Korean War veteran who came back and got discharged from medical. But at that point in time, we are from a big family. My dad's side it was 13, my mom's side it was 12. My mom and dad were young parents. My mom was 20 when she had me. My dad was 21. So they didn't have the money for a babysitter. So who came in right in the clinch? My uncle Aaron. And I don't have a problem saying his name because he's dead and gone now, rest his soul. And I hold no ill will toward him for what has happened. But he became my babysitter through those times. And can you imagine that from an early age that you have this onset of what you have as life and how you should be as a child is taken from you? But the inability to be able to communicate that with anyone because this person was looked upon as a king, came back from the war, he didn't get killed, he was honorable to the whole family. So what was I looking at as a little kid to go tell someone that this man was molesting me every single day of my life that I stayed with him? So I call it a highlight because what that did was give me an awareness of the things that have come into my life. The second part of that became from being molested and not being able to talk about it became I became very addicted to drinking and alcohol. I was a functioning alcoholic, and to this day, medically, you cannot be that. Though so many people think that you can. You can't be a functioning alcoholic, and you're not really functioning. The body just memorizes the actions of that you've done prior to taking any alcoholic substance, and you'll be able to do that. And from that came depression. And I sat on a tank in 1986 in Uncle Sam's Army with a 45. And from that depression came about attempted suicide. So I put the 45 to my head and pulled the trigger, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And as you can tell from me sitting here talking to you, it did not discharge. And I thank the God that it didn't from that day on. But I had an event happen to me that really opened my eyes as to why God let me live and what was the purpose in my life. In sort of like a Ten Commandments movie, if you will, the day that that happened on the tank in Stuttgart, Germany, as a 19-year-old kid in the military, I never left Chicago before that time. I saw the moon as bright as the sun. And mind you, we were all sleeping out on tanks, and it was a bunch of us out there doing training maneuvers. So I screamed to the top of my lungs is that I couldn't even kill myself right. I was angry and crying that the gun didn't fire. And at that point, when I saw the moon as bright as it got and as bright as it got out there, we were in the forest, so of course there's no street lights. And I couldn't see in front of my face, but the moon, to my eyes, illuminated my area. From that point, I felt love like I had never felt in my life. I didn't know where it came from. I wasn't a spiritual person. I knew of God, had heard about him, been told about him, but I didn't experience him. And from that moment, I knew what it was for me to do. It was for me to share my story, not to everybody I ran across, not to everybody I met, not in every place, not in every circumstance, not at every talk I give, not at every seminar I do, not at every training I facilitate. But it gave me an opportunity to share my story at points and places in my life that would empower those who were trapped. And that gave me an opportunity to know that vulnerability is everything I wanted was on the other side of that. So I don't have any problems now with the molestation or talking about it. I don't have any problems now with talking to people that have tried to commit suicide and were unsuccessful. I don't have any problems now veiling or unveiling the things that I call highlights in my life that have probably be on the top list of a lot of you all's low lives. But those things have created me to be the leader I am, to understand the differences that we have, and to be able to tap into what Jenny has already done with a lot of you guys. And so with that, I just share with my story with you, and I'm going to leave my information in the chat where we can connect, and we can get more involved. I do these kind of talks at seminars. I'm waiting to do this as a TED talk, not because I think my story is greater than anyone's that have done them before me, but my story is plausible through a lot of eyes and people that I see every single day. People that don't know how to tell someone how they feel, people that don't know how to articulate the things that are going on with them, and people who don't understand that because I don't look like you doesn't make me a bad person.